Welcome to the final panel of Budapest Showcase Hub's 10th edition. I have the agents panel, and I've got the opportunity to speak with Beckie, Dan, and Marlon, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves in a very, very brief format. Where you're from, what artists are you representing, anything interesting. Top secret.
Okay, I'm Beckie Sugden. I'm from CIA. I feel very pressured by the time. I'm an international booking agent. I've been doing this for 20 years. Look after artists like Anderson .Paak and the Free Nationals, Gucci Mane, T-Pain, many other things. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And I love Halloween.
We can see Beckie's got the best Halloween nails, so take a look after.
Hi, I'm Dan Basman. I'm from Berlin, Palace Agency. It's a boutique booking agency based in Berlin and working with artists from all over the world, actually, booking them in Europe, North America, Far East, etc.
I'm Marlon Burton. I work at Rome Agency. Been an agent for 10 years and work with a broad selection of artists internationally.
Thank you. Since we have a time constraint, I'm jumping into the juicy questions straight. I think what everybody is really interested to know is about the East versus West divide. And I think a lot of people in the audience or around this region has a conception that there's really not such a great view of East yet. Maybe it's considered an emerging market instead of a fully formed market. Can you let me know if you think that's a true conception? And are there any territories within this region that you would consider a market by itself?
Oh my gosh, that's a big old question, that one. I don't particularly think that there's any negative views in terms of the markets. I think, yes, some markets are coming to the forefront at the moment stronger than others, like Poland is having a real rise at the moment. There's a lot of larger shows going in there, but I think you're seeing a leveling out of that playing field. I think you're seeing those artists bigger artists coming into this region, like Ed Sheeran, I know, came and did quite a lot in the Balkans and the Baltics. So yeah, I think the divide is narrowing and changing. And yeah, I don't think there's any negativity towards the region. We have artists that come here and do amazing shows, and I personally view it as every other territory.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same. I started coming over to the side of the world a lot. I mean, a few years ago, and I've been working with lots of artists, and I'm taking them from, east to west and west to east, and it's still, when I'm routing tours, one of the major markets I'm always looking at, because expanding in multiple markets is equally as important as playing Berlin. It's way more important to come and build a fan base in Budapest, Sofia, all the other markets, because there's a fan base there, and if you can grow that fan base, there's small markets to be playing in.
And Dan, for yourself, with a niche agency, do you see that moving east is also a priority these days?
Yes, definitely. As they mentioned, there are so many festivals and events in East Europe that it's really nice to book their artists there, find it more and more interesting and getting bigger and bigger in few territories. So yeah, it's definitely something we focus in.
Yeah, the one thing I think is understanding the market and the finance and the value of money in each market. And I think sometimes we get a little bit caught up with, I need X amount of money to make a show work, when actually the monthly living salary in that market is completely different to what it might be in the UK or in Berlin. And sometimes making sure the price point for people to come and see acts play in is something that's very important to understand. So that's the only thing I would say to be thinking about.
Which is why I personally think it's really important to get artists as an agent into these territories early, so that you can grow within the market. You've not got, say, a larger act trying to come in and say, I need $500,000 on my first headline show, which is just the market can't support that. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's about us getting in early and making sure that all artists, whether they've got an agent or not, are coming into these territories early to develop the region.
And when you're trying to encourage an artist to play in this region, is there anything that you're trying to tell them about, like tickets and capacity, or is it just a general strategy? And this would be a good fan base, this is a good place to build. How would you sell coming into the Central Eastern European market to artists and the rest of your team?
exactly the same way I do every other territory. I show them a reason to come here. You know, there's a great scene here. There's for your music specifically. So it's always strategic, and it's always based on evidence that there's going to be some, you know, interest in the market. But yeah, for me, just exactly the same as I do every other one.
Yeah, so.
And then I'm going to flip the question around. Marlon, I know you've got acts on your roster from this region, so like Baby Lasagna from Croatia and Jazz Boys here from Hungary. Bringing them across into the Western scene or across into the US, is there any strategy where you know that there are big names here in the scene? How are you convincing, I mean, besides the usual prestige of going west, I guess, what are you saying to the acts?
I mean, it's the same thing that I tell an act the other way around. It's building a fan base and it's building an audience. Jazz Boys in London are doing, you know, a Village Underground, which is like close to 700 tickets. And the show before that was a Jazz Cafe, which was 475. And it's like, they're probably selling equally amount. No, they're doing more tickets here. But, you know, for a band from Hungary to be going to the UK and selling 700 tickets is quite an achievement. And hopefully we continue to grow. And it's that, isn't it? It's the same. If you can build a fan base in every market, regardless whether it's the east to the west or west to the east, it's important for growth and strategy, because you can't always play in your domestic market. You have to go and meet new fans and make new fans for you to kind of grow as an artist. And Baby Lasagna is a really interesting one, because we signed him at Eurosonic, and you know, he's doing like 1,500 tickets in Finland, and he's from Croatia. You know, so we can actually tour him in multiple markets at multiple different times, so he doesn't have to oversaturate the market at home. So for him, he is really now like an international touring artist.
I can say the same about an artist I work with from Istanbul, from Turkey. And you know, there is just a huge diaspora all over Europe. So it's very easy to bring her. She just sold out like in November, like Earth in London, like 1,500 capacity, like a month before, because the diaspora is huge. And I think it's also relevant to countries like Poland or Hungary, where you have a lot of people from here living in big European cities. And it brings like such a fan base that you can start somewhere, not like in a tiny club or something.
I think the question of diaspora is really interesting, because if an artist is singing in their local language, do you see that you're able to connect with only the diaspora in that region, or are you bringing in more local, you know, from the country fans as well?
It depends what genre of music you're making, firstly. If it's jazz with no singing, if it's, you know, you're a DJ, none of that really matters. You know, obviously you're talking about people who are singing in their local language. I mean, no offense by this, but if you are singing in Hungarian, it's going to be a ceiling. It's a very unique language. I think unless you are singing in English, Spanish, Arabic, I would even say French now to a degree, and Korean, K-pop, very unique example, then there is a ceiling, but there is an audience there, and there is a perfectly good career to be had within your own regions, within your own countries, within places that, you know, have a good diaspora from your region. So
yeah, I agree. I was going to say exactly the same thing. Like, I've worked with different artists that speak in their native language that come to other markets, and yeah, they are playing to fans from the same country, but I guess what they need to then try and do is cross-pollinate, and sometimes that can be a bit challenging for them, but it just depends on how much energy and work and time you want to put into that international development.
And I'm not saying I want to hear, you know, squeaky American style music from everybody. I want to hear the sounds of your culture. You know, that should absolutely be within your music. That's what interests me in artists, you know, something I haven't seen before, something I haven't heard before. So it's not about not being true to where you're from. It's about finding ways to bring that influence into your music in a way that speaks to everybody.
I think that's a really major point, at least for me, that like really I see so many bands that try to sound like something they are not. And I think that's the biggest mistake in the book. Like, okay, you come from a region, you don't need to do like the folk music or something, but come on, bring your story, be authentic in a way, even if it's for you're approaching the UK, France, whatever. I think the more interesting projects are like that. For me, I work with an artist who sings in Persian, and she like played in Roskilde and name it, like huge festival all over the continent. Or same with the Turkish artist I just said. And other different languages, but I think all of them bring something unique with the different culture they're coming from. And I think that's the key point. That's the story. Like, if you want to...
It's your superpower.
Yeah.
The language is a barrier to entry, but also if you put on an amazing show, that's what gets people in. Like, I'm a massive Stromae fan, and I'm sure lots of people here are, but, you know, I fell in love with his music before even knowing... still don't even know what he's saying, but, you know, it's the visuals, the content, the performance, all of that is the type of thing that I want to go and see when I see somebody perform, and that's kind of what makes an artist stand out and, yeah, gains new fans and new markets.
And for artists that are here on that topic is, what makes you stand out? So if you are personally seeing a showcase, you're going around tonight, what are the top 3 things that you're looking for that you think will create, you know, good export potential or bringing them across markets?
I think just a really interesting performance. So, for example, last night I can't remember their name, but they're from Belarus, and I saw them also play at... Yeah, the guy with the mask and the 3 girls. Yeah, like, I saw them play in Warsaw at Polar Music Week, and I was like, they're brilliant. And then I saw them again yesterday, and I was like, they're really fucking cool. Like, they're doing something that's really interesting. The music's interesting. The performance is really interesting. The way the girls on the stage dance, I thought was really interesting. You know, like, I don't necessarily know what they're saying, but they're putting on a really interesting show, and seeing that in other markets I think that's got the potential to work, because it's just fun and interesting and well put together and well curated and just really, really well done.
I agree with that fully. It was a performance, and I was enjoying the performance as much as anything else. I think if you're a singer-songwriter and you're coming up here and it's very, not, you know, a different type of show. It's a more relaxed show. People need to connect emotionally with the lyrics. But like you're saying, if it's a performance, if it's a vibe, people can feed off that vibe. And
in terms of you work with electronic acts, Dan, so what are you looking for when you're looking for an electronic act?
I don't work only with electronic acts. I work also with electronic acts. And I think what they said is pretty correct. You know, you need to see the show and feel it, and there is a performance. And then it doesn't really matter in what language it is or where the artist is coming from, as long as it brings something unique, I think. And another thing that is important, I think, and I saw one band I really liked here on the first day, and, you know, they met me on the speed meeting. I think it's something worth mentioning, that with all, like, the romantic view of it, like, I asked them, hey, do you have, like, money to travel abroad? Because you're just in the beginning. You need to go to the UK, to play here, to play there, to France. You need a good PR, probably, because that's the minus when you're coming from somewhere a bit outside the box, the obvious box. And I think it's also important to understand that, like, in every business or product, you need to invest to make it work when you're coming to a new market.
So the practical aspects. So besides having a good performance, which everyone said, it needs to be memorable or it needs to be an emotional connection. You said practically you need to know if they've got money, they've got the ability to...
Not to pay me or something, nothing like that.
Tour.
To tour.
To mobilise themselves.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you're looking for specifically when you're having these sorts of conversations with artists?
I saw an amazing artist at a festival called Zandari a couple of weeks ago, and the artist was phenomenal. So everything I'm looking for, incredible stagecraft, made me feel comfortable watching them. The tunes are amazing. It was really banging. And then I'm like, oh, hey, you know, I'm a booking agent from the UK. You know, do you have representation? Oh, what's a booking agent? You know, it was that kind of thing. It was clear that she had no idea of the business or what was going on or what the elements were to get her anywhere. And I will not work with an artist who comes along as like, hey, sign with you, make me famous now. It's like, this is a team effort. I need to know that you are thinking about your vision. I always use this example. I probably used it on the last agents panel, but there's a band called Kasabian from the UK. And I remember going to their first ever showcase, and they handed us all a manifesto. This is where we want to be in this timeline. And they smashed it out of the park. They got so much, you know, their plan was 5 years and they did it in 2 years because they had this vision and this idea, and they clearly knew who they were and where they were going. And I think that's really important to think about as an artist. You know, who are you? What do you want to achieve? What's your North Star list? What's your bucket list as an artist that you want to achieve? And go for it.
Word. Agree.
Yeah.
No, perfect answer, Becky. And I mean, like, so you want to know where they're going, what they're doing? Do you want to know their audience at the moment, like where they see the potential, like where their streams are coming from, where there's, ticket sales, what else can they tell you?
I want to know that they know who their audience are and who they should be appealing to. I used to look after an artist called Russ, who's a really well-known rapper, and the amazing thing about him is he'd be like, Becky, I can do 10,000 tickets in Egypt. And I'd be like, all right. And he'd proved me right a couple of times, these things. So then my biggest problem was having to convince a promoter to do these 10,000 cap shows. We sold every single one out. We actually, in the end, ended up doing 2 in Alexandria in Egypt at 10,000 capacity. When he said he could do 10, he could actually do 20. So those artists that know their audience and can tap into that audience and know and build a community, which is something I think we should talk about as well, they are the ones who are going to win at the end of the day. Sorry, I'm really hogging.
No, it's fine. No.
I think that's a good segue into the next topic of, the strategy into building a live career. Do you think that there's a difference between, agencies that are bigger like Rome and CAA versus niche? Are you working on, just getting a lot of shows booked and getting that touring done first? Are you looking to have some foundational community building first and then you're willing to book shows there? So, or is it a case-by-case basis? Marlon, maybe I'll ask you to jump in first.
Yeah, no, I think it's always case by case, isn't it? So some acts, I mean, I was on the phone with an artist this morning that I met at Waves Vienna, and she's got like 2,000 monthly listeners. One song's got 800 plays, the other one's got 5,000, and I was like, I like the music. So I was like, I don't know how I can help you, but let me email some promoters in the market and see if they're interested. And everyone came back like, she's brilliant. What do you want me to do? And I'm like, speak to her. So that didn't answer the question. I think, it is case by case. Like sometimes, can you repeat the question? Yeah,
okay. Let me make it more specific as well. For example, let's go 3 different types of artists.
Yeah.
Singer-songwriter, coming from this region.
Yeah.
How would they want to go, not Hungary is a little bit tricky, but okay, Hungary singer-songwriter. They know that they are singing in English. They know that their sound is a bit more international, maybe not fitting Hungarian shows, but they can see that they're going to get a really good play in like France. And, maybe they've got like a bit more France, Spain, the UK. That's their target, to go that way. What is the start of your conversations in developing that plan to get that way?
2 ways to do it, isn't it? So maybe put them on the showcase networks, maybe get them on Mama, maybe try and get them on The Great Escape, see what other events there might be out there for them to play on, see what the reaction is from them, for them there, and then try and put together a live strategy for headline touring. I like to always put it's always nice to say we'll get you a support tour and we'll get you this and we'll get you that, but being in control of your own destiny for me is the most important thing. So trying to build your hard ticket value where possible is the most important thing for me, and then hopefully sell some tickets and it works, really.
But honestly, we're taking on artists that we have a vision for and a strategy for in our heads. So you can fall in love with the music, but the further you get in your career as an agent, the more you have to go, right, I have to think about this. Can I actually give this the time and the attention it needs? Is this going to be better with an independent agency? Is this going to look better for them, for the artist as well? So we have to think about the whole picture before we're taking on artists. And as an artist, and this doesn't I'm just going to say something anyway, but as an artist, you want an agent that is hungry to work with you, that is, fighting to work with you, because you're just going to get better results if people have got that level of passion about what you're doing. So, yeah.
I do also say to people, there's no right or wrong time to find an agent. It's about finding the right agent for you at the time which you're trying to find somebody, because I might not have the capacity right now, but I might have the capacity in 2 weeks' time once I've got festival pitching out the way and once I've got the current tours on my desk out the way and I really like that music. Or it could be go to that junior agent at that other company because they've got the capacity to really focus on you and put all of their energy into getting you to where you need to be. So yeah, it's just timing really for everyone.
And would you say that that is also a good step forward to like speak to an agent at a niche agency first before, you know, and get a live, like get a footprint in live in those markets with that niche or boutique agency, and then come to something bigger, like not that you're poaching, but but as a strategy for an artist, what do you think?
I don't think that should ever be the strategy, personally. I think you should find somebody that you want to ride and die with, basically. And that should be somebody, you know, when I took on Anderson Paak, I was at a small boutique agency. He's stayed with me in every place that I've been to because we know each other. I know how he likes to tour. We're family now. So actually, I think you're better off trying to find your ride or die. If it happens that you feel that you do need to move, that's, you know, it's a progression that happens. We know that. But actually, I personally think you should be looking for somebody. You want a team that's there who understands everything about you. There's people like Muse who, until quite recently, they had the same team for 20 years or something, because those people understood that artist and got them to the highest heights because they understood them. The greatest saying I've heard recently is, and this is what happens when somebody tries and poach your ex, is, you know, the grass is always greener, but you don't realise it's fertilised with shit. And the shit is people saying, I'll do this for you, I'll make your star, I'll do all this other stuff. Well, actually, they probably won't, because they'll come up against the same things that your current agent's coming up against. So, yeah, I think the grass is greener approach is not always right. And artists should move if they're not happy, but at the same time, it's about conversation. This is a relationship. It is like an actual relationship, you know, full stop.
Like, we do, like, my boss does Fontaine's at Rome. And it was another agent who decided to step away from being an agent. But, you know, from doing 600 tickets in London to doing 45,000 tickets, it's the same person that's booked all of those shows. So, yeah, it's about finding a person that's right for you and sticking with you. And if you as an artist get massive, it's like, well, hopefully you stick with the agent that's helped you get there, but then they move to another company where there's more infrastructure and protection around them, not you just leaving because you feel like it's going to be better over there, because it's the same people doing the same stuff.
So it's more about the connection with the agent than the agency. So you hope that the agent is going to move, or they are at a good, like a bigger agency, if that's what you're looking for. But if not, maybe a niche agency better suits you're not looking for doing arena shows or...
A niche agency can do arena shows as well. That's the thing. It's like I'm going to get in trouble when I get back to work saying all this, but you know, I think it's just about finding the right people, and it is, you know, a niche agency can do everything. And if you're a hot act and it's popping off, everyone's going to come to your door still, whether you're at CAA or whether you're at Rome or wherever you are. You know, they're still going to be knocking down your door because you're a hot artist and they want you on their festival, they want you on their event. It's So I think that. Because, you know, that misconception about you have to be at a massive agency to get all the massive opportunities is a little bit, you know, can be a little bit wrong.
True. You just need to find someone who's really passionate about you. You know, and then it doesn't matter if it's a huge company or a small company. As she said, everyone can book everything if people like it and it has the audience. So it really depends on the connection with the person, I think, that you feel is really passionate about you and not just going for this name or this name, but someone who really digs you and understands the DNA of the project.
And as long as you've got someone there to guide you through, because booking an arena in a stadium is very, very different to booking theatres and small clubs. So as long as you've got someone there to guide you and to help you understand the sort of nuances of that, then that's all you really need. And actually, that can also be your promoters. I've had plenty of promoters go, no, don't do that, do this because of this. You know, like, say, for example, in an arena, making sure that your guests are on the side of the dressing room. Little things like that you don't think about, because they've got to get across a big, massive 18,000 cap arena, you know, so of course they want to be on the right side of the room. But just those little things, you just need that guidance, and there's plenty of guidance in these smaller agencies.
Can you tell if an artist is coming up to you based on your agency name or the artist on your roster's name? And is that off-putting when, like, having a conversation with new acts?
Yeah, and what I find interesting is when they've not done any research into who you are and your roster. Like, I get some emails and I'm just like, do you even know, like, what I book?
Yeah.
I know my roster's quite broad now compared to what it was before, but, like, just having a little bit of research into who I am and what I work with will definitely help me pay a bit more attention to what you're doing.
So many folk singer-songwriters message me. I'm like, look at my roster. That is not what I do.
It's not really what I do.
I'm gonna wrap up with just some funny stories and then questions, because I've got basically not much time left. In terms of coming to this region or taking an artist out of this region, do you have any like funny stories or success stories or any crises on, in terms of visas or last minute tour reroutes?
I mean, back in the day, crossing the border to Ukraine was always a fun thing. I remember a band who were made to leave their engine running until their petrol ran out in their big tour bus, and then they kindly offered to fill up with their very premium rate fuel. So that was a fun one. Okay. Also, the band had been woken up by people coming into their bunks with Kalashnikovs, opening them with the Kalashnikovs. Okay. So that was a fun one. That was probably about 15 years ago, though. So, yeah, slightly different these days.
I mean, I haven't, no. My life's, yeah.
Your life's
You've
more
got to
calm.
have some funny stories. Come on.
I mean,
you just can't remember them.
I don't definitely know.
It doesn't have to be about this region. If I open up the question, do you have any just stories that you want to share with us? Because we're really cool people at BuSH. And
no, do you know what? Actually, today I just got an email. I got a text from a manager saying people have bought tickets for a show which they can't buy. Basically, we're doing a VIP sell-on to a show, but people have bought the VIP sell-ons knowing that the show's sold out. So they're messaging the artist saying, I bought the VIP ticket, but I don't have a ticket to the show. What should I do? And I've just gone like, but the show's sold out, so what can we do? So now I've had to call the promoter and get those people who didn't have a ticket on the guest list so that they can come to the show. So it's like they just went around it. They went, we can't get in, so we'll just buy the VIP add-on, directly DM the artist to then and then he's just been kind to put them on the guest list. So they've made their way into a sold-out show by buying the add-on. So I don't know if that's a funny story, but it's a story.
no, but it's a good...
Problematic story.
It's like,
So basically, if you want to be a part of a sold-out show, buy a VIP add-on and then DM the artist.
for guest list,
Not do that. If you do that for K-pop, you'll get seen out the venue very quickly.
buy the VIP add-on, DM the artist, get on the guest list, and then you can get in.
Yeah, okay. I want to give the audience some time for some questions. We've got about 8 minutes for audience questions. So if you want to speak, raise your hand, and then I'll try and call on someone from the audience.
Trying to stare out a few people
Yeah.
who should have questions.
Yes. I'll be the facilitator.
Hi, Fiona from Canada. I just wanted to touch base on the point you mentioned regarding culture. And I think it's important to reiterate how much royalties and potential for merchandise that you can make with your lyrics in your original language that you can also translate into the market that you're going into, and how this is one of the most traditional and oldest way of generating income, but is a way of diversifying your income. So I've been hearing a lot of people saying, but I sing in a language that's not main market here. Hungary is small. But no, please keep doing what you do best and do it in your original language. You'll be surprised to see how much people are welcoming it. And that's how I learned German, was through Olivia Kolecki's Hypnotize album. I looked at the lyrics and learned the language through the lyrics. So just want to make sure we remember to keep pushing in that direction and to see the opportunity in generating more income.
Thank you. Any other questions? Or do you want to comment on that, Marlon?
I had Carpe, they're like a Norwegian group, come and do an international tour, and every city they went to, they did something in the language that they were in. So they speak in Norwegian, and not many people, I think there's a population of 5 million people in Norway, but they were selling 2,000 tickets in Spain and 2,000 tickets in London, and all these other markets are selling thousands of tickets. But what they did when they landed in the market, they would put lyrics in German, for example, when they're in Germany, and they would learn a little bit of language in each country that they went into, so then it helped them connect with the domestic audience that was there. And I know it's not possible for everyone to do, but if you're looking to tour internationally, maybe try and do something like that, because that can help you connect with people in the market that you're in. Just an idea.
K-pop artists have visuals with subtitles and stuff. So yeah, there's many ways to adapt to markets. But also, if you want to sing in your traditional language, you don't want to change it, don't. I think that you should say that as well. Some people just don't want that. They don't want a big international career. They just want to be big in the region, in their own regions.
Yep, in the front row.
Hi, I'm Millie. I just wanted to ask you how big an artist should be for you to book them, because you were talking about seeing an artist and she had like 2,000 like monthly listeners. Yeah. So like how do you pick artists that you actually see potential, not just music but also business side?
That's a difficult question because it's a case by case, 100%. Yeah. So I've got a good example. I've just taken this young girl called Lola Moxon, which I've inflicted upon many people these last few days, but not inflicted, she's phenomenal. But this girl, I saw her sing and I was like, I cannot not be involved. So I took her on before she'd even released her first single, which is incredibly rare. But I was so in awe and so excited by this person. I was like, I want to get in early. I want to build this with her. I know the work that this takes, but I'm willing to do that. Whereas if there's still there's levels of passion, and don't get me wrong, that is like the highest. And then I think there's, artists who I love the music, but I can see that I can't mobilize it yet. So some kids came up to me in Korea, they were really sweet, and I was like, oh, send me your music. So they went on Spotify, they had 18 monthly listeners. I can't do anything with that, Really, for someone at a CAA or someone like that, really we want to be seeing in the hundreds of thousands, millions of streams per month, ideally. There are those unique examples, like I said, with Lola. But to mobilise and to know that I can kind of get my teeth into it, it has to be slightly bigger. But I think your guys' answer would be completely different to mine, and it really is case by case. I know that's a bit vague and kind of an everything answer, but it's how long's a piece of string?
I'll answer you by numbers. I have an artist with 6 million monthly, an artist with 2 million monthly, and an artist with 5,000 monthly. So I'm really, if I like it, I work with it. And if I believe in it, because obviously 5,000 monthly listeners is not the goal. But if you're passionate about a project and see the potential there, it's not a number thing at the initial point,
Yeah. I think that's the beauty of independent agencies as well. They can pick up exactly when they want. With Lola, I know that's going to, be a lot of work, and it's not something I'd usually do. But I think that's the beauty of being independent is you see it, you love it, you can give it a shot.
Yeah, I've got a band, Waldo's Gift. I've worked with them for maybe 4 or 5 years. This year was the first time they've ever toured. They're not doing they're doing okay monthly listeners. But they're one of those bands that when I first saw them live, I was like, they're brilliant. And they don't take up too much of my time. And every time I send them an offer, they say yes to it. So it makes life easier. And then the promoters really like working with them. So again, it's just not, this is all work, isn't it? There's only so much bandwidth you've got. So if I get an offer, they say, yeah, great. They're happy. They're building in every market. Great. Promoters like them. Great. The great show. Brilliant. So yeah, for me, I've got Gold Ford, who's doing 5 million monthlies. I've got Waldo's Gift, who do 20,000 monthlies. It just really depends on what and how and who I'm talking to and what capacity I've got for stuff.
But that's the reaction you want from an agent. You want them to be like, I don't care what your numbers are. Yeah. I want to work with you. And that's what we were talking about earlier. You want that passion from your agent. You've got to find the right people.
Yeah.
So.
Continuing what you just said with the 18 monthly listeners, I think you don't want to send agents when this is your position. Do the effort, do some social media work, tour in your country, do the required effort to have at least a few thousand when you start approaching people. That's my...
You need to be big in your own region, your own town. You need to be selling stuff out before you even think about an agent. Don't be in a rush to get an agent because we're going to take 10% of your money, So it's got to be worth it for you, and it's got to be financially viable for you for somebody to come and take 10% of your money. So yeah, don't be in a rush, but think about who you want to work with. Do they have the right acts? Who's the one who's really making everybody in my scene pop? Do your research, but don't be in a rush.
Thanks.
We're going to do one last question, and then we're going to wrap up. Any last question? Okay. Top tip going forward for artists, just like one memorable one-liner, and then we will end. Dan.
Do hip hop.
Hip hop is dead.
I can't follow that up. That's really mean. I think I've said it already. Just do your research. Don't be in a rush. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So make sure you're at these kind of events. Make sure you're networking with everybody that you meet. In this room, there's some amazing professionals who can really do things for your career. So speak to everybody and, just get stuck in. Sky's the limit.
Then I will say thank you very much. Thank you so much to our panelists. Can we have a big round of applause? And I am now going to say thank you for coming to the conference of Budapest Showcase Hub. It is our 10th edition, and I'm going to hand over to one of the co-founders, Danesh, for next steps.
Thank you, shiny, happy BuSH people. Thank you for being here so early on the second day as well. And what's going to happen now is that we all gather everyone who would like to come on a boat trip with us. We're gonna go out together on the stairs and take a photo together. And then right after the photo, we'll just continue our way. We'll be leading the way. Please don't get lost, stop for coffee and everything. There's drinks and there's some bites on the boat and a surprise little act as well. And then you will be able to see Budapest at the same time and have a chat and just have a happy time together on the 10th anniversary or the 10th edition of Budapest Showcase Hub. Thanks for being here. Tonight's gonna be amazing parties and shows in Turbina Club, so not here. We are leaving this club for now. And no further comments. Thank you. Let's go.
We're gonna make a memory.